have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Hey, yo, Stephen A., I could have not said it any better myself. Robert Manfred, the owners and Major League Baseball, has lied to us. We have been bamboozled, we have been led astray, because apparently a deadline doesn't mean anything to the owners or Robert Manfred because they keep on pushing it. You might as well call it an alive line because it keeps on changing. It is not a deadline. It is very confusing, and apparently playing 162 games is back on the table, but don't get it twisted. It's just a negotiating tactic. They're not doing it to be nice. They're trying to use it as bait to get 14-team playoffs or for the players to come down in CBT. That's all it is. Do not be manipulated. But either way, what's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. If this is your first time on the channel, we do this almost every single day, so don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. We're gonna have a quick recap of the CBA talks because the owners and the players are meeting today. And as you guys saw by that Jeff Passan tweet, a deadline, I'm gonna put that in air quotations because apparently a new deadline has been set. If they get a deal done by today, the end of Tuesday, we will have a full 162 game schedule, and we're gonna talk about Freddie Freeman possibly going to the Tampa Bay Rays of all teams, and also the rule changes have all but been confirmed. The shift is going to get banned, bigger bases are coming, and a few other things, so make sure you watch all the way until the end of today's video. It's a juicy one. Now, we kind of have some shocking news. It's not breaking because this happened last night, but Kwang Hyun Kim of the Cardinals is leaving the Cardinals. He is going back to the KBO. He signed for 15.1 billion won, that is the currency over there, which equates to about $12.3 million over the next 4 years, which is the highest in KBO history. He had a combined 2.97 ERA and just under 150 innings, but the lack of command along with the lack of strikeout stuff, maybe it just left more to be desired from the Cardinals management because they didn't give him an offer that was worth signing. So he goes back to the KBO, and if you're a St. Louis fan, let me know in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to fill that void? Because he was pretty good in 2020 and not the best in 2021, but he was still solid. Speaking of leaving teams, Freddie Freeman might be on the move to the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you ever get in the mood to spend a bunch of money because you've spent a bunch of money recently? The best example that I can give is the Rays owner Stuart Sternberg. He doesn't really shell out a lot of money, but he signed Wander Franco to a $200+ million contract extension, and then all of a sudden he wanted more. He was ready to dish out more dollar signs for Freddie Freeman. And could you imagine the Rays if they could build a super team, not only with their prospects and their analytics in terms of shifting? Well, they might not be able to shift anymore as soon as 2023, but you get what I'm saying. The Rays have pretty much built a dynasty without spending a ton of money. Imagine if they start spending money. You do not want to mess with the Tampa Bay Rays going forward. So if you're a baseball fan or a Tampa fan or an Atlanta Braves fan, if he ended up leaving and going to the Rays, let me know what you would make of that deal. That's kind of all of the breaking stories from yesterday. Kwang Hyun Kim is leaving the Cardinals to go back to the KBO, and before the lockout happened, Freddie Freeman and the Tampa Bay Rays were in talks to maybe have a deal, but of course the lockout happened and no one is allowed to sign. One other rumor, Carlos Correa to a surprise team. We might talk about that tomorrow, so turn on your bells. But let's go ahead and talk about the CBA and what the heck is going on, because yes, apparently a 162 game season is still possible if they get a deal done today. But after going through what we've been through, they're probably going to push it to tomorrow, and then the next day, and like Mr. Krabs said, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. They're just going to keep moving it. If not, if they do not get a deal done today, MLB is threatening to cancel a second week of game, which would be, to quote my boy Trevor Plouffe, diabolical and evil, because if a second week of games gets canceled, that means that the players are not going to recoup that money and they will not be earning service time. Who does this affect most? In my opinion, Pete Alonso of the New York Mets. He has been a star hitter over the last few seasons, but if he misses 15 games due to cancellation, the Mets will have one extra year of team control. He will not be a free agent when he was supposed to, because Major League Baseball imposed the lockout. They canceled games arbitrarily, and that is exactly where we are right now. Are you going to really cancel games, not pay the players, and then not give them service time, and have guys like Pete Alonso miss out on free agency because you decided to cancel games? So yeah, that's something to keep in mind, as the owners are in fact the core issue to me and a bunch of other baseball fans. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt finally, because they are starting to budge on the CBT. They have been pretty much deadlocked, as they described it, at $210 to $220 million. They finally conceded. They moved it up to $228 million, but they didn't do it out of the kindness of their heart. There are rumors that they're only going to increase it to $228 million if what they're asking for actually comes to fruition. So it was described as there are huge strings attached, and I can only assume that they mean a 14-team playoff, and they want to make sure that the new rule of a 45-day implementation rule, where if they want the shift to get banned, it would only take 45 days for them to announce it instead of waiting until the next season. So that pretty much does it in regards to the movements of the CBT and everything included. Let's go ahead and talk about the new rule changes. We did bring this up a few videos ago, but the shift is most likely going to get banned, and you guys can see in this graphic who got shifted against the most. Pretty much left-handed sluggers. And are you a fan of this? There has been a ton of backlash on Twitter of people saying that these are professional hitters, they should bunt or go the other way. But my argument is that, of course, they're professional hitters, but they're facing professional pitchers who are throwing 97 inside. They are pitching to the shift, and it's not as easy as I'm bunting this way or I'm gonna go the other way. I feel like a lot of people are just throwing out the old condescending, they're professional hitters, they should just go the other way. It's not that easy because of analytics. One thing that we did not talk about, a 14-second and 19-second pitch clock could be coming to Major League Baseball. 14 seconds with the bases empty and 19 seconds with the runner on. I'm cool with this, considering there are pitchers like Ryan Yarbrough who sometimes take 40 to 50 seconds to throw one single pitch. But then the flip side is, people on Twitter are saying that, hey, how come batters are allowed to step out and kind of have their own routine and mess with the pitch clock that way and the rhythm of the pitchers? So that is also an argument to be made. Bigger bases are most likely coming. Here's a graphic of the prototype that MLB was working on, and I feel like a lot of people are making a big deal out of this. They're bigger bases. Who the heck cares? Do we not remember that Bryce Harper would have won MVP back in 2017 if it had not been for the slippery bases? So if anything can attribute to more stolen bases and players staying healthy, I'm good with that. Please, by all means, implement that. And the last but not least, as we mentioned a few moments ago, a 45-day implementation rule to any on-field change as opposed to waiting until the next year. Now, as I was recording, I do want to give Major League Baseball and the owners a little bit of a pat on the back, because even though it took them a little bit to respond, they will be matching the $1 million fund that the players set up for staff workers who are without work, both in Arizona, Florida. Both of those cities host spring training, we all know that, and then going into the season, if it does get canceled, if a deal does not get done, I think that stadium workers will have at least some of their income by both Major League Baseball as well as the Players Association. But that pretty much does it for today's MLB recap. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I did also want to mention that today is International Women's Day, so shout out to my mom and all of the other hard workers out there. I would not be here without you. And also shout out to my grandmother, who recently, we had some personal things happen behind the scenes. She's still in the hospital, but she is a fighter, and again, I would not be here without her. So shout out to you, Oma. I love you very much, even though you're not going to watch today's video, but you guys rock. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.